With Liquor Barn, you can shop your favorite bourbon, that perfect bottle of wine, or discover something new. To place an order for pickup or delivery, download the Liquor Barn app, visit liquorbarn.com, or call your nearest Liquor Barn location. Follow us on social media and subscribe to our email list for all the latest news on products, promotions, and events. Liquor Barn, where Kentuckians go to celebrate life. Cheers!
We could tell you that Penelope Bourbon's 4-grain stray bourbon whiskey is a multiple double gold winner at SIP Awards, or that Wine Enthusiast named it a Best Buy, or that Tasting Table named it one of the 12 best small batch bourbons under $40. But really, all you need to know about Penelope 4-grain is that it aims to please. Whether you enjoy it neat or mixed in your favorite cocktail, Penelope 4-grain is a staple in every well-stocked bar. Pick up your bottle at penelopebourbon.com.
Limestone Farms bourbons are like a secret portal to a world of rich flavors where high proof meets smooth satisfaction. Every barrel is meticulously crafted and blended with a specific message in mind. Experience clean delineated flavor profiles that will have you engaged from the first sip to the final drop, making your palate beg for just one more taste. Limestone Farms, bringing heritage home.
Welcome to the Bourbon Life Podcast, your source for all things bourbon. Join your hosts, Mark and Matt, as they drink and review bourbons, share news about upcoming events, interview the who's who in the bourbon world, and, most importantly, bring you along for the fun of living the bourbon life. Now, here's your hosts, Mark and Matt.
All right, everybody, welcome back for another episode of the Bourbon Life Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and with me here live tonight in the Bourbon Life Studios around the flights of the round table, it's my good friend, Chad.
Hey, what is up, man?
What's up, Chad?
Not much. It's a thin table.
It is a thin table, man. You know, Philip, unfortunately, stuck in traffic. Feel sorry for him. He's probably cursing us.
So he says.
Yeah, that's true. He's probably,
what the fuck?
Probably out at Applebee's having some boneless wings. Some
having a new Dollarita.
Hooters whiskey and stuff, right? So Stacy's somewhere in Florida or something like that.
She's at like Harry Potter World.
I know, dude. I saw that yesterday.
I'm
like, I'm not even going to go there. Matt is with us as well. Matt, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm great, Mark. I would never miss one of these because I don't want to give you all free reign to just rip on me the whole time.
I was going to see, I was so excited because it was going to be the four guys and we were just going to bash
on
Stacy the whole time. And damn it, Philip just had to throw a wrench. Maybe he'll show up. I'm hoping he shows up like randomly round 2 and we just throw him into the mix and kind of pick up from there. So what are you guys up to, man? Everything going okay?
Yeah. Just fighting Matt for tools. That's about it.
Yeah, that's right. Chad and I work together now, and so we share a lot of toolbox.
You know, Matt, that's something we've not really talked about, man. So now the cat's out of the bag. You've not really said much about it. So
well, not much to say.
Oh, okay then. Well, there you have it. There you have it from Matt. So great story, Matt. Thanks for sharing, man. So all right. Well, we got some fun stuff poured up. This is the first round. This is the Woodford Reserve. This is their brand new toasted bourbon. Like every other Woodford release, except for their barrel proof or batch proof, whatever. This is 90.4 proof. This one, I don't know. What was the story on this, Chad? Do you remember? It was a mistake?
18 barrels of heavy toast char 1, which is what they use for their double oak and double oak. So what they use is a heavy toast char 1 barrel. They'll take their 6-year-old bourbon, put it in there for around a year for their double oak, and for their double, they let it age for almost 2 years or 2 years plus. This they took and put their new make in it, which was an accident, and they decided instead of dumping these barrels and trashing them because it's still bourbon, charred, they would let it sit and age for, according to Elizabeth, she said they let it sit and age for just over 6 years to kind of see what would happen and decide to turn them into 375 distillery series releases.
Yeah.
So,
which just came out last week. Randomly. It's funny because I saw the email at 9:01. I got a text from Chad at 9:10. Give me a bottle. I'm like, how'd you know I'm going?
Yeah,
like, I know
you were in the car at 9:06.
Yeah. I said, Mark, I know you're already halfway there. Grab me one.
I was in the car. I think it was 9:25, and I got there right around 9:50 something. So yeah, and I pulled in out there, man, and there was almost nobody there. I was like, what? That's like, what's going on? Because usually as soon as they announce something, people work. Well, I know that, Matt, but people still
jobs.
But yeah, and there's a lot of people out there.
There's a lot of lawyers out there, Matt.
There's a lot of people that have jobs buying this stuff and flipping it. That's their job, right? So I was surprised when I pulled in and there was like, just walked right in. I think there were 3 people in line. So got it. Of course, they raised the prices on all this, right?
Yeah.
So earlier this year, because when I went out there and got the double oaked, she rang me up. She was like, "That's $139 or something." I'm like,
"Yeah, those are like $72 a pop."
I was
like $68 a pop.
Yeah, I was like, "Wait, what?" I'm like, "I only got 2." She goes, "Yeah, that's the new price." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." I think the retail price was like $64.98 or $65.98 plus tax. So it ends up almost right at $70 for the 375. But don't do that because they have many other bottles out there.
I know. I would spend like $120 to $150 if they made a $750 of a double.
You would.
I would. I know I would.
Right, Matt. You were going to say something, man. You had it. You're like,
let's go through the nose first.
Okay, before we jump into
maybe we can get into
Matt's keeping this
topic of conversation
train from derailing, man. Thank you. So Matt, since you brought it up, what do you get on the nose on this one?
I actually quite like the nose.
Yeah.
I think there's the slight subtle touch of the toasted characteristic coming across. Only a lot of times when I think toasted bourbon, I think like heavy marshmallow, campfire, s'mores, those really oaky, just smoky flavors. I think this one has just that light kind of wafting of smoke in it, almost like green firewood. When you put firewood on.
Yeah, still a little wet.
Yeah, still a little wet. Kind of has that
when it's moist,
green,
very moist,
wet,
kind of soggy, damp smell.
Yeah,
to it, but it's got a sweetness too. I think underneath that, I'm picking up almost like a little bubblegum flavor. I think there's like some cherry or just like some original bazooka bubblegum on it as well. But good notes. It's not a super deep like charred note that I think the barrel would, a charred or a heavily charred barrel would give. So I think it has like a lot of lighter oak notes too, a little bit more distillate, but I'm saying there's nothing too wrong with the nose.
No, and I think that's something that will surprise people because, when you think of a toasted bourbon, you think of those richer campfire marshmallowy type of aromas, right? So no, you don't get that on this. And again, it's not a disappointment. It's just not, if you buy this and expect that, you're going to be disappointed, I guess I should say, but but I agree, Matt. All around, it is a good nose. And when I cracked the bottle and tasted it the other day, I was like, oh yeah, man. The nose, I was like, yeah, really like that. So Chad, what about you, man? What do you get?
So Matt took one of my notes. I was nosing it thinking, remind me of like cherry big league chew, how it's got almost like a sourness to it, like a citric acid. Like those, like when you smell like sour candy, like not like gummy worms where it's like powdered citric, but like where actual sour flavor. A little bit of that. So it is a wet wood, very green wood, a little earthiness. I feel like you do get some of the distillate coming through. So you get this very clean, crisp, light fruit, floral, citrusy note. Like if you ever go to Woodford and smell when they're running the stills, kind of what it smells like. Or any distillery, really not just Woodford, but especially ones where you get to like put the white dog in your hand, smash it, smell it. It is an inviting nose. I think it noses a little hotter than 90.4. Like I think it's got a little bit of ethanol there. Blind, as I always say, I'd probably put this around like 105, 110. I think it's got some heat to it.
Yeah.
But
I would agree with that.
Like both of you said, it doesn't have those standard typical marshmallow, graham cracker, toasted s'mores, toasted notes, but I do get some of that toasted wood essence in there.
Sure.
I don't know. It is unique. I did notice on the back of the bottle it says produced by Woodford. Which I've never actually looked at the back of a bottle of Woodford to see if it says distilled, but either I'm assuming this just came from Shively or Louisville.
It would have to, right?
I guess.
Have to. They don't source anything, right? So it's got to.
No, so I just would assume it's not distilled by their actual distillery. So I would assume maybe came from Old Foe or what was early times.
Yeah, gotcha. So, but yeah, going back to the story, walking in there, it was just like, there was nobody there. I had like 2 or 3 people in line, in front of me. That was it. So, and that's one of those moments where you're like, ooh, I wonder if I could buy more. But then you get that price and it's like, ooh, no, I think I'm just going to stick with the 2 bottles that are going to run. I think it was $138.98 or something. I'm probably $140 for both of these bottles. I'm like, yep, that's good. I'm out. I'll take that and go. Of course, I posted it on the local, Facebook page just because I want everybody to know. It's like, hey, they've released this, so people don't know it's out there. And people are like, oh, how many do they have? I'm like, dude, I don't know. I'm just telling you that
It is there.
there's bottles available, right? So go pick it up if you're interested, if you want to try it. So yeah, we'll get to the palate and the finish here in just a little bit. So anything else going on, guys? I mean, other releases that have come out or that have been going on?
I mean, hell, talking about releases, Mr. Blue Box over there. But that's luck of the wild.
Yeah.
I mean, really, as far as like bourbon releases go, it's kind of been tame. Buffalo Trace did their $7,500
Man,
Weller.
we kind of talked about
Millennium,
the unobtainium.
Woodford, like you guys said, they did their Derby bottle like they do, or I guess they've started doing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's not been a lot going on in the world of LEs. During the summertime, you typically see a dip in that.
Yeah. Getting ready for fall.
Everyone's prepping for fall, Christmas. Everyone kind of forgets about. I mean, there was the PGA release from Heaven Hill, because PGA was held at Valhalla in Louisville.
Yeah.
Honestly, besides like the Weller stuff, because people shitting on the price, this is probably the most talked about release I've seen to date.
Yeah. Did you guys aren't golfers, right?
I mean, I went to Topgolf on Thursday last week and found out remember when I hurt my neck a couple years ago? I can't like twist my neck.
Oh, can't do it. Yeah.
So it was about knocked the lady out next to me about 7 times.
Oh man.
But she sucked too. So I mean, hey,
yeah, not good. Matt, you're not a golf guy, right?
I mean, I used to play.
Did you really?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Wow, I didn't know that. Interesting things you never know about Matt. I've known him for 5 years now.
Junior PGA champion over here.
Yeah, man, no kidding. Well, I had the invitation from Heaven Hill to go out there, and ended up getting sick and wasn't able to make it. So I was so disappointed about that because it's going to be fun. They had their speakeasy set up out there. They had cocktails going on and food and everything else. It was just for the practice round. It wasn't for the actual golf. I'm not a golf guy. I don't sit and watch golf. I don't play golf. It's just not my my jam.
I play golf, but I can't watch golf. It's like a baseball.
Yeah.
Any sport. I cannot watch sports. No.
Really?
I just don't find joy in it.
Oh, see, I can watch golf.
Can you really?
Oh, yeah.
Do you actually watch it or just have it out as background noise?
Watch it.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Matt pops in like an eighth of mushrooms, and then he just looks like that girl in that old weed commercial just sinks into his couch.
Yeah.
He's watching golf.
Man,
he thinks it's golf.
So while we're talking releases here,
yes, Matt.
I understand coming out with limited edition or like new weird funky product like this Woodford in a 375. I get that.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me. Why has it got to be so expensive?
I'm sure for them it was more of an R&D, like, hey, it's 18 barrels. We want to make some money on it, which, I mean, Brown-Forman is huge.
Sure.
I mean, like Elizabeth McCall said, they could have just dumped the barrels. And honestly, at a distillery that big, they screw something up. Yeah, they're just going to dump it into a tank and just recycle it, and either redistill it, pump it through, and then turn it into some form of vodka or new make again. A fun one-off. I mean,
but why? Yeah, a fun one-off, and I get it. It's great. It's a lovely way to get new product in front of your customers. But can we see it in like a 375 or a 200 milliliter at like a low price?
No, 200 would probably cost $80.
And see like what demand is.
I don't think
then like drive up the demand, drive up everybody's hype, and then boom, release it in full 750.
I think because like
go gangbusters.
So for something like this with 18 barrels, logistically, it's just not there. I mean, like the whole bottling aspect of which, I mean, I'm sure they have their own bottling line set up for small sizes because they pump out a ton of small sizes. I just think logistically and monetarily it's not there. And I mean, like all businesses, they want to make a buck. So they priced it to where they were not losing. I guarantee they could sell 100 bottles and they've already made back what this would have cost them to file a loss to the government.
Yeah. I mean, they could have dumped it. They would have dumped it.
They would have
right?
they would have dumped it. They put it into a tank. They would have just run it right back through the still and then redistilled it. I mean, tons of distilleries do that, there are distilleries who redistill stuff all the time. I mean, Bowman will take stuff from Kentucky and they'll run it through their still, and it'll be double distilled Virginia bourbon.
Yeah.
And it's distilled in Kentucky and then redistilled again in Virginia.
That's just,
And then they'll age it.
but it's crazy. You start thinking about this, 18 barrels, 375s, right? So you get, this is what, 6-year-old, 7-year-old. So you're still running probably 180, 190 bottles.
Let's say average yields, we'll say 200, because it's a char one.
750s.
Char one.
200, 750,
So we're saying
400 times 18. Do the math. Is it 7,200?
7,200 times,
Times
68.
70, yeah.
We'll say
$70.
$70. We'll say $70.
49,000.
No, that's $500,000.
I mean, 490,000. That was off of zero.
Yeah, 504,000. Yeah, that's
Dude, that's insane.
they turned what could have been like a $6,000 loss into $500,000. Why wouldn't you do that? I mean, that's the greatest investment.
Hey, Matt, you ask a question, and guess what, man?
Matt, this is why you are not a businessman.
No, I mean, seriously, dude, it's crazy that they were able to do that. But yeah, these distillery series, I think that's just a plan. I don't know. I'm assuming that they're all going to be priced at that new price point, right at $65. I think
they can't seem to figure it out. I mean, because they've had some of these doubles come out and they'd be like 70, 75. Some of the other ones come out and like they did one last year. It was like $58.99.
Yeah,
not even $60. So I think they're kind of looking at like what is an obtainable price. Like what are people willing to, like if it has a history, double, people know it's got a history. It's got several years behind it of like, it's good.
Yeah.
You always want to find one, get more than one. They know people will flip it for 2, 3X. So this is something where it's kind of like, we don't really know. We're in the middle.
Yeah.
And they did the toasted oak oat grain.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's good. I thought it was really good.
I thought that was good.
But they've done some others in this experimental line.
They have. They've
like a 5 grain.
The 5 or the
3 wood.
5 wood. They've done the 4 grain, 5 grain. They've done all kinds of them. Then they already have another one. I think they already have another one coming out. Or no, that's Jim Beam. That's Jim Beam I seen in
the distiller share.
The Worcestershire.
Yeah.
Barrels. Yeah.
That'll be coming out here soon, I think, actually. So
that's all you. That one's all you, because I hate that sauce.
Well, all right, man. We'll see.
No.
See what happens. But hey, another thing I was going to say, I was saying is that popped up in my feed last week was Roaming Man, because they've always been those little 375.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Down there at
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Down in the Gallenberg. It's the
yeah, I know.
It's Old Smoke. Is it Old Smoke? No, it's not Old Smoke. It's the other
ground or something.
What the hell? Why can't I think of the name of that, man?
I can't either. I know but so they're doing
It's the Moonshine Distillery, right? It's not Old Smoky Distillery. It's the other one. But so Roaming Man is now being released in 750s. They released one Friday at the distillery. And I was actually thinking about driving down to pick it up, but just didn't get the chance to.
What is their price?
I don't know. But we've had this stuff. I mean, I really like it.
Well, the 200 ml is like $40.
Was it for the Roaming Man?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was a 200 ml, like $39.99.
I didn't remember that, but
it was pricey, I remember. We were fortunate enough to have ours sent to us.
But then they went from having, so it was like experimental 2-year, 3-year to like 3 and 5 year, like all these blends of cask strength. To then they're like, no, now it's like 3.5, 4 year at 100 proof. They're proofing it down.
Oh, that's right. They are.
So some of those earlier ones at cask strength were awesome, but I've not had any since they proofed it down, because I'm like, well, I don't want to spend the same amount of money for not bigger of a bottle.
Right.
Proof down whiskey,
Yeah.
I could proof it down myself with some ice or water if I want, but I'm curious what the price on that is. $750.
I don't know what it was, man.
That stuff always sold. On my shelf. Like it was actually allocated. We get like 6 bottles a month, and every month would be sold out within like 2 or 3 days of getting it.
Greg Idem? Is it Edom?
Yeah.
Greg Edom. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I've enjoyed we had him on the show. But I cannot believe I can't remember the name of the distillery.
I can't think of what all distilleries are doing now.
Anyway, we'll figure that out, I'm sure. So let's jump back, because we're almost at the end of round 1 here, guys. We've limped our way through.
No, we've not limped. We've nobody walked.
We've limped through round 1. So let's jump back over here to this palate and finish on this toasted bourbon from Woodford Reserve. Guys, Chad, what do you think about it, man?
I think I've got some great glasses cleaner. It's splashed on my glasses.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that. It's all right. Not your fault.
Is it all right?
I think the palate falls a little short. It is definitely got that crafty profile. So there's some craft brands, and I know this from experience of like sometimes you get barrels, new barrels, toasted barrels or whatever, and whether they're pre-soaked with water, a lot of them will use steam, or you have to spray them with water, you'll get like this wet wood note that kind of seems like it should age out. Hopefully over time it should age out. This has some of that wet wood note. It's got like this like green oniony, like,
Okay.
yeah, it's like this green onion kind of note flavor on the palate for me. Even going back to the nose, I'm picking it up after it sat there for a minute. I still get the bubble gum, which is like, I think the only redeeming note that I have for it. I'm not a huge fan of the palate. Nothing against craft whiskey, or distilleries. I just think I expected a little bit more from a brand like Woodford, not to put something out that tastes like a 2-year-old craft product. Because that's from, like, I would not think this is 6 years plus in a blind. I would be putting this around like 24 months.
Yeah. There you go.
And yeah, it just kind of has that crafty vibe to it. And I would much rather if I'm going to support a brand with this flavor, I'd much rather be a small guy who's struggling to pay bills and is putting something out versus someone who put something out so they can make $500,000.
They made $500,000. Matt, what do you think about the palate and the finish?
Sugarlands Distilling.
Sugarlands. Thank you so much for looking that up. Yes. Sorry, Greg, or anybody else listening out there. We're fans of Sugarlands. I'll be down there this weekend. I'll come and visit. So maybe
Make it up to them.
Maybe I can pick up a bottle. Maybe they probably sold out already, but no, Chad, I'm not buying you another bottle. Matt, what did you pick up on palate and finish, man?
I think it's a little thin. I've got to say, I think the palate lacks a little bit of body. It's spicier than I was expecting, though. I will say that.
It is spicy.
That was
a nice
the thing that
amount of
really
spice
stuck out to me initially was the spice.
I think, like Chad is saying, though, kind of distillate heavy. I don't think the char in the barrel took enough out of the distillate and imparted enough of those familiar char flavors to really change this into a bourbon that drinks the age that it's been given, that it's rested in the barrel. A little thin, nice experiment, kind of that like wet, young green wood note comes across. You don't really pick up much char. I don't really pick up too much of any toasting on the palate. In my outsider's humble opinion here, I think if you had called this, rather than toasted bourbon, if you had called this like low char.
Yeah, because toasted bourbon, I think that's the idea, is it sets a precedent. Like, you're going to go into this expecting that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I did, even though knowing what they said it was. I think, low char bourbon would have been a much, much, much better name.
Yeah, because I don't know of anybody that's advertised, like, they're missing out. This could be a whole new, like, category for someone to explore and say, oh, I don't know if I've ever had a low char barrel. Well, you probably have.
Right.
You just didn't know it. And so now you could finally say, oh, so this is what heavy toast, low char.
Yeah, this could have been a good educational point to see, like, hey, this is what our bourbon would taste like in a low char versus how we do a char 3, you know? But instead they went the route of marketing. And I'm a big fan of Woodford.
I just think, the finish to me, it's like almost bitter. To me, and it's tannic. I mean, it's drying. Every time I take a sip, the first time when I popped it open, I would take a sip and I was like, I need to drink water, and tonight still it's kind of the same thing as every time I take a drink, like Matt, just taking a big drink of water. It's like every time I take a drink, it's like, I feel like I need to take a drink of water. So this one, unfortunately, is probably going to be a miss for me, which is kind of surprised, but it's not their experimental series, but it was something obviously they didn't plan to do. And, they put it out to see how the response.
Not everyone is going to be a hit. There have been a couple years of, at least 1 year of double. I think this year's double oak, I thought
this year's double kind of fell flat for me.
Yeah,
but, not my favorite.
Yeah,
in like 3 years, I bet this year's double oak will be really good, because something about them just sitting in the bottle for an extra couple years.
Yeah,
like, every time I go back to one, I'm like, I didn't really love this one, but now
it's like, oh, that's really good. Yeah. Well, guys, we're at the end.
Kind of like our bullet pick, right? Yeah, 11 point buck. The longer it sits in there.
Oh man, somebody actually just posted a picture of that at the Bourbon Lifers the other day. They just finished off a bottle. They're like, oh man, this is so good. I'm like, thanks.
I mean, I loved it, but yeah, I mean, I sent you guys pictures like
you did, but somebody else actually in our Bourbon Lifers send a picture as well. That's right.
Well, like I love that pick. I do, even though Philip blinded us on. We're like, oh, that's like 5-year-old. But something about going back to a bottle that's been open for a few months, like really brought out a lot of those funky notes that Bulleit can be attributed to having, and which we can talk about this more in the next round. But something about it just being open in general, I thought kind of brought out. Bulleit's worked with a lot of different distilleries for contracting and production.
Right.
And we had our assumptions on where we thought it was the day we were there. Matt and I, and you as well, Mark, were all like, this is X, Y, and Z. But after it sat open for a little bit and went back to it, I'm like, I don't think that was correct. I think it was actually a different production facility who distilled it for them. But yeah, like I loved it. I was very, very happy. I think I liked it more then than I did when we picked it.
Yeah, very cool. Well, you guys did a good job. I just went along for the ride there. All right, guys, we're at the end around. So final thoughts on this Woodford before we wrap this round up.
This is a mixture for me. This would be a great whiskey sour bourbon.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Matt?
Yeah. I got to second that.
So Chad is not buying the bottle from me now.
Hey, you shot yourself in the foot on this one.
That's all right, man. You know
Don't
what?
blame me. I was the one that suggested we try it.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate
Way
it.
to go, Matt.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. All right, guys, let's take a quick break, get a word from our sponsors. We'll be back with more with the Bourbon Life crew in just a minute.
Three Chord's line of whiskeys embody the spirit of creativity. The whiskey is a true collaboration between producer and composer Neil Giraldo and master blender distiller Ari Sussman. The Three Chord team of expert blenders, coopers, and sensory professionals have developed a multi-step process they call Perfectly Tuned Taste. This process begins by carefully selecting the finest bourbon and rye whiskeys from Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana, and then blending them together. Find out more about the whiskeys and distribution in your area at www.threechordbourbon.com.
This episode of the Bourbon Life Podcast is sponsored by bulk spirits and barrel broker Chevalier Cask. With over a decade of industry experience and access to rare and bulk spirits, the mission of Chevalier Cask is to help brands find the spirits and barrels they need to produce award-winning products. Every month, Chevalier will highlight new product offerings and noteworthy sales, like the recently sold 2 totes of 10-year Kentucky bourbon and 5 barrels of 19-year-old Kentucky bourbon. This month's unique offering is an exclusive listing. Chevalier has a ladder of 200 barrels each year from 2 to 7 years old of Kentucky bourbon that was distilled at Bardstown Bourbon Company and aged in premium-grade Canton barrels, coopered from 36-month-old air-dried oak staves. This unique tranche of barrels is an excellent way for a brand to enter and continue in the market with 7-year product. Chevalier also offers access to thousands of bulk whiskey barrels and new Spanish and French oak barrels. For more information, go to chevaliercask.com. All right, everybody, welcome back for round 2 of the Bourbon Life Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and with me here live tonight in the Bourbon Life Studios, it's 3/5 of the Bourbon Life crew, my good friend, Matt.
Hey, what's up, Mark?
Not much, Matt. How you doing down there?
I'm good. I'm doing great down here. I'm still your good friend.
You are my good friend.
Al, your bourbon drinking buddy. Having a good time.
You show up, you're not wearing a beanie, but that's okay, man. But
He is wearing pants.
he is wearing pants.
Pants are on.
Yes, but with flip-flops.
Pants are on, though.
Yeah. You're not wearing your house slippers, man?
No, it's a little warm. Glorious weather, but
Beautiful.
a little warm.
Humid.
Yeah.
Warm for the slips.
All right. I gotcha. What about you, Chad? How you doing? Chad's here with us, too.
I am here. Philip is supposedly stuck in traffic and Stacy's out on vacation.
Yeah.
And I'm here with you guys. As you always say, Mark, every week, which sometimes as a listener makes me feel like, man, this guy just fucking hates himself whenever he's like, I got to work. Oh, and I got to do a podcast. Oh, but you know what? Now that I'm here, I'm in a great mood. It's kind of how I felt today. I was like, oh, it was a rough day.
Man.
This
it's
weekend,
the truth, though.
After this weekend, I didn't work a lot besides mostly from my phone or my laptop. And, extended weekend after Memorial Day. And then today I was like, man, today's going to suck. And it kind of did. But coming here, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun, right?
Uplifting.
That's what I told my wife today. I mean, today was actually a decent day for work, man. It wasn't crazy at all. But I told Anita, I'm just like, hey, you know what? It's the guys coming over. We're going to hang out. We're going to drink. It's always fun to do that. No pressure. Don't have to get ready for a guest. Don't have to do my notes because you guys make fun of me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I have to worry about is you guys making fun of me for whatever.
You don't have to worry about that. It's going to happen.
Yeah,
It's going to happen.
That's just
There's no worry about it, right?
Yeah, worry.
But we are the Bourbon Life Podcast presented by
We
Liquor
are.
Barn. Yes, I forgot to say that first round. So sorry, Liquor Barn. But we appreciate their sponsorship. We appreciate all of our sponsors, everything they do for us. We could not bring this wonderful show to you guys every week without their support. So with that said, Matt, what did you bring, man? You got something for us for this round, right?
I did bring something this round. I was doing a little traveling the last couple weeks, and anytime I'm out of Kentucky, out of state, I always like to hit up liquor stores and just see what's around. Oftentimes you end up looking at the same familiar faces you see are on the shelves, a lot of familiar bottles, but every now and then you'll run into something you've not seen before, not heard of before, or maybe you have heard of before but not seen before. And this was the case.
God, I'm lost in that logic right there.
Damn.
60% of the time, every time.
It works every time.
Yeah.
Sex Panther.
70% of all statistics are made up.
There you go.
100%.
There you go. Sorry, Matt.
Yes. So this was one that I had actually just heard rumors of, but never seen or not even really knew that I was looking for. But this is out of San Francisco, Old Potrero, 100% pot distilled rye. This
Malted rye.
Malted rye, yes. Thank you, Chad. This is a single barrel, straight rye whiskey, non-chill filtered, 7 years, 10 months old.
Wow. Okay.
So, and that was one of the main things that really drew me to the label, was that it was straight rye whiskey, 7 years, 10 months, distilled by the people that are putting it out, and it's not Kentucky, Indiana, or Tennessee.
Yeah.
So
it's San Francisco.
Yeah, had my attention from the get-go, and it comes in at a walloping 131.4 proof. Ooh. So packs a little bit of a punch. Mash bill, 100% malted rye, barrel, 24-month air-dried, fine-grain, new American oak.
So 2 years, the wood staves sit outside before they ever had
little mushrooms grow on them.
Little moldy
stuff, man. Yeah, man.
Have you ever been to a cooperage?
I have never been to a cooperage.
We should go to Zach Cooperage, because you know what? Zach's like the only place I know of that'll just kind of like let us roll up and
just like we could roll up in the RV.
We can roll up in the RV
and then roll out of the RV.
But they've got staves there. Not to take us off topic to a tangent, but we should do a road trip. Now that we have an RV, they're road trips. Go to Zach Cooperage, see some of their like 6 month, 12 month, 24 month, 48 month, and I think they've got some wood that's almost like 10 years old that's been sitting outside.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's black.
I was gonna say, does it maintain its integrity if it's outside that long?
I think it's an experiment.
Okay.
Or if someone's like, hey, we want to pay you a bunch of money for a barrel made of this, they'll do it.
Yeah.
But they've got, it's wild. Because it's like behind this old house, it's just like overgrown, and there's like 4 piles of these like black, moldy, mushroom covered, moss, nasty ass looking staves of wood. And then right across from are the ones they made that day. They're like fresh, brand new. Yeah.
Well, I met Zach last year, I guess it was this year at Bourbon Con. Yeah. So got to meet Zach, of one of the guys at Zach. It's him and his dad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So seems like a really nice guy. But yeah, that'd be fun, man. We definitely do that. So Matt, I'm sorry, did we interrupt you or did
no, not at all.
I couldn't remember.
Well, let me turn it on you. What you getting on the nose here, Mark? Let's go back. Let's talk about this straight malted rye.
Yeah, so let's talk about it on Tuesday.
You know, when I first nosed it, and this is going to sound crazy, but I got almost like a hint of chocolate off of it. It reminded me almost like a Tootsie Roll. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It just
like the waxiness, like the waxy chocolate.
Yes, the waxy chocolate, like a Tootsie Roll. So I was just attributing that to the malted portion, because when she said it was malted rye, I was like, oh, maybe that's what it is, the maltiness that kicks into that. It's almost got a sweetness to it that kind of goes along with that. But man, this like a chocolate aroma sticks out. That's the predominant thing that kind of comes out to me. So, Chad, what about you, man? What do you get?
I agree with you on chocolate, because I was thinking chocolate orange whenever I smelled it. So I was thinking very much like that. I don't know what the brand is. It comes in a foil, you pop it open, chocolate orange. Mm-hmm. With like that sweet sugary syrup, and then a little bit of this is gonna be a weird note, but I ate like 20 of these this weekend. So my buddy Bill from Wisconsin brought me a bag, but like cowtail, so like that vanilla cream with the nougat, the chocolate and the orange, like those are like the 4 big prominent notes I'm getting on this, and I'm really enjoying that. I really like it.
Yeah, Matt, what about
Good
you?
nose.
Yeah, so I was when I picked this up, it was like the day or two before my race, so I wasn't drinking. Of course, the old man cracked the bottle open like the night before I'm about to do this race.
Thanks, Dad.
Poured himself a drink. But anyway, moral of the story is he cracked it open and I could smell it from across the room.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Vibrant.
I think the nose on this is really bright, really vibrant, like Chad was just saying. It's got that funk. It's got that pot still nose to it.
Philip would love this.
Yeah.
Sorry, Philip.
In my opinion, this has like big old pot still nose. But a lot like you both were saying, it has a really roasty, malty note to it. Like think of like Heath Bar or like kind of that taffy, toffee, almost like coffee, chocolate nose to it. But then there's also some brightness from the rye. Like the rye cuts through that. I think Chad kind of brought that citrus, that orange note. I'm getting some of that like light citrus, some of that really nice rye grain. I think this nose is certainly not something that you get every day, and I love it.
Yeah. So you're down in Chattanooga, right?
Yep, down in Chattanooga.
Gotcha. So you just saw this and like, oh, this looks good.
Yeah, picked it up off the shelf. I think it was $85.
Okay. Yeah.
Out the door.
For an almost 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Almost 8-year-old craft distilled.
Yeah, exactly right.
Cab strength, single barrel.
And I've heard it's Old Potrero.
Old Potrero in San Francisco.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen people post stuff about them before. I've never had any of their stuff. Have you?
Yeah, I've had their stuff when it was. We were talking about this, which Matt didn't give me the stats. He just said he picked the bottle up. So I've had their stuff back when I was younger. I got a lot younger, like I was like 2 or 3-year-old. Not good. I thought it was very, very, very bad. But they've stuck to their guns on only being malt distillate, malted rye. And they've stuck to their guns on not sourcing or not doing anything. They keep putting they're very popular in their area, as most craft brands are, your hometown heroes.
Sure.
But it was like a 5 or 6 year that I got to try that a sample of that was pretty good. But it was proof down to like 95 proof or something. But this at 131.4, 7 or almost 8 years old, I think is awesome. Especially when you don't really just see a ton of malted rye these days. You just don't see it. So like New Riff has their Balboa rye, which
was it Basil Hayden didn't.
Basil Hayden's got a malted rye.
Malted rye this year.
Kings County's got a malted rye.
Kings County does. Also another craft. But you don't see a lot of these big brands. Basil's kind of been like the offshoot experimental brand for Dame now, it seems, at 80 proof, and if it sells well on Basil. Which my conspiracy theory is still stood true, that everything that's in a little book 1 to 2 years later will be a Basil Hayden and a limited edition Jim Beam release. So I want to say that I put that out there on the, I think it was batch 2
Well, there is malted rye. There is a malted
rye. Oh, yeah. No, I know.
In that, on that little book.
And it's got their Pennsylvania recipe rye and all this stuff in it.
Yeah.
But,
there's like 8 different things in there, Matt, on that little book.
Oh, wow.
But it is fun to see a brand stick to their guns on like one product.
Matt's touching your bottle.
Take me out to dinner first.
Go ahead, Chad. I'm so sorry.
But like I said, it's just fun to see a brand stick to their guns and kind of like forcibly put their name in the hat for like, hey, we're like, as far as I can remember, besides like Old Pogue having the 5 Fathers and the Old Maysville Club rye, which are malted ryes, one's a 2-year-old, one's a 4-year-old. Old Potrero is like one of the only brands to do a malted rye at a craft level on a mass scale. I think they're doing probably more than New Riff, honestly, but they just don't have really wide distribution. But this funky, well-aged stated mash bill thing, so all these craft brands who really got into the business, 10 years ago, are having whiskey come online that's 6, 7, 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's pretty cool to see what they were thinking would work at that time versus what has worked for them now.
Yeah, very good point. Yeah. Go ahead, Matt.
Oh, I was just going to segue as while we're talking funky mash bills, it seems to be kind of a resounding trend lately that we're seeing some new mash bills, some new whiskeys all together coming out.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're seeing kind of a resurgence in some wheat whiskey.
Yep.
Is coming out, I think.
Well, even like not that it's crazy, but like the Monongahela, the 8.
Hey,
80.
Let me interject there. Go listen to and I want everyone and you, Mark, to go listen to an episode of Bourbon Pursuit This Week in Bourbon.
Are you promoting a different?
Where Kenny tried to say Monongahela, and I know we all made fun of how to say it, but I was being stupid. he was being serious. I need you to go listen to that. So I'm not the dumbest sounding person trying to say that word. Kenny's the dumbest person.
Sorry, Kenny. Kenny's going to listen to our podcast. So he's going to text and be like, those guys were saying you said Monongahela wrong. But anyway, that is that's kind of like 80-20, right? I mean, you don't really see that a lot. So, but it's kind of cool that they've done that. But I mean, there's other things coming out too, right?
Yeah, there's predominant wheat mash bills coming out. I think I've seen a few, even like some out of Indiana. Large distillery out of Indiana is now sourcing some older, predominantly wheated mash bills.
They've got their 45%, their bourbon is 45% wheat, and they've got a wheat whiskey, which is 99% wheat, 1% barley.
Well, they've also got what is Old Dominic. What did they distill out of MGP? Their wheat is like 8% wheat.
Oh yeah, their wheat whiskey
or something like that.
It's a high. It is that. Well, that's a custom mash for them. I don't think that's on the market, but yeah, that is a high mash, like 70-something% wheat, corn, and is it wheat, rye, barley, or wheat, corn, barley?
Yeah,
I don't remember. I feel like they had rye in their mash bill, but I don't know. Don't hold me to that. Alex Castle's at Augusta anyway.
Augusta, that's right. And hope you're going to be recording the show with her soon. We were all wrong about that, weren't we?
Yeah. We're seeing 100% rye. We're seeing, I think, some good corn whiskey coming around again. Maybe people are coming around to corn whiskey, light whiskey again.
Well, I was going to say
light whiskey's definitely made a resurgence.
Yeah.
Our brand gets asked, like my brand, not our collectively, gets asked for that all the time. And it's kind of weird because as you guys got to try the Hooters whiskey, that was light whiskey.
Right.
I think that was probably a mixture of light whiskey age ranges at 2+. But the thing with light whiskey is it's not all made the same. So like there's some on the market right now from Buffalo Trace, and like nothing against Buffalo Trace, but man, their light whiskey just ain't that great,
Really?
It's so weird. But then you got Heaven Hill does their corn whiskey, and they've got theirs is like 78% corn or 82%
mellow corn, baby.
Corn, and it's like 13 rye or something. And MGP's got their 99, which Penelope, they use a lot of light whiskey. They don't use a lot. They buy a lot of light whiskey, but they also use the 99% corn bourbon in their blends. But we're definitely seeing a resurgence of like these high corn. I think what a lot of people are doing, especially because now we're seeing a lot of more malted grain, like malted wheat, malted rye. People are getting tired of big, bold, spicy, like rich, heavy, and malt sweetens things up, gets you a lot more earthiness, a lot more depth and complexity because it's a lot more sugars.
Yeah.
I think people are really getting into these classic vintagey style because back in the day, back in Pennsylvania, we talk about the
Monongahela.
Yeah. Menage a Trois, Old Overholt. They were usually malting rye back then. It was usually just how they were doing it. Yeah. So the grain wouldn't spoil. And I think people are really kind of going back to that. And they want these more like, I don't want to say crafty taste, because most people associate malt with craft, but they want these more earthy, sweet profiles, more balanced. Because like this to me doesn't drink like 131 proof.
Right.
It's very even kill, balanced. Especially like when New Riff with their 100% malted rye, it's a very well balanced pour. I think people are really kind of grasping, looking for something different. And all these new companies or even established companies doing different mash bills, it's kind of giving everyone a glimmer of hope. Like, hey, the bubble's not bursting. It's just, we're in a different sector of the bubble now.
So here's a question then, because I mean, when you're talking about these different mash bills, we can talk about finishing. Everybody's finishing, right? I mean, that's been the craze. Everything's finished. Everybody's finishing in this and that and this. That's taking whiskey that's already pretty much of age, putting it into a barrel. You're finishing it off, right? So that's the decision you can make, and you could have a product in 3 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, whatever, right? But when you're talking about these mash bills, you're not talking about a decision you can make and have a product in 3 months or 6 months. I mean, these are decisions that were made some time ago. So just kind of, I'm just looking forward. I mean, is this like new mash bills? Is this kind of the wave of the bourbon, the whiskey industry? You think?
Well, it's
just something different, or
I can't remember if it's on air or off air. Like I said, I think it's just some of these people before they really knew their footing and what they were going to do. Like New Riff. New Riff's the best example because they try a lot of shit.
Sure.
I mean, like all their entire distilling team is a bunch of brewers, so they're just really using a lot of like beer recipes, throwing shit at the wall, see what sticks. I think it's just, and I'd like to know, Matt, your thoughts as well. But it's very much these smaller brands before they are big distill a lot of stuff, and maybe like, hey, maybe we'll sell it, or maybe we won't, and just kind of see where it lands, because like my company's purchased a couple experimental runs from a distillery that use like a white corn and a red corn, and with instead of using like your standard dent corn, and it's got a little bit of a funky profile and a little bit different mash bill, but or actually it's got a mash bill everyone knows and loves, but it utilizes two different corns, and it's very unique. And you're like, man, I've not, either I have tasted something exactly like this or I haven't tasted anything like this, but if you're a bourbon drinker, you can find something familiar. And I just think that these small brands like New Riff and Old Potrero and Jim Beam's not small, but what they're doing with the Old Overholt line, how they revamped it, I think it is just kind of a way to, on a small scale experiment, because Old Overholt's still apparently like not a huge brand for them.
Right.
And everything they're doing is in like, for Jim Beam, like 1,000 barrels in a lot. So,
yeah. So guys, let's talk about the whiskey since we're getting close to the end of round 2. What do you guys pick up in terms of the palate and the finish on this one? Matt, since you just took a drink.
Mid-sip there.
Yeah.
So I will actually start by disagreeing with Chad. I think it drinks the proof.
Okay.
I think it's hot. It's warm. I'm not saying it's burning me up, but I think it drinks with a lot of body. Good, oily, for sure. I can tell this is pot stilled.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah.
Maybe I'm telling myself it's pot stilled. I know it's pot stilled, but to me it has similarities of a good pot stilled whiskey, where you're a little bit rougher around the edges in some ways, the best ways. Big and bold, nice rye spice. It's got a nice sweet, cooling, minty front palate before the malt really kicks in, and that like roasted malt that we're talking about, most like dark cereal grains.
Yep.
Think like the
Scotch whiskey.
Well, just think like dark brand cereal.
I was thinking like Cocoa Krispies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a chocolate, like crisp.
That makes sense. Yeah.
With again, like that Heath Bar toffee, kind of like heathery, almost malty.
Yeah.
Taste on it. Good long finish. The cinnamon and the rye comes back with some of the like burnt orange peel flavor, I think, on the back palate. I think this is just fantastic.
Chad, what about you, man?
I'd like to disagree with Matt. I do not think it drinks 131. I do think it drinks high proof. I would not have guessed 131. Maybe it was the fried chicken I had on the way over. That hurt my tongue, but I do think it's big. It is a bold rye. Lots of cinnamon hard candy, lots of like burnt citrus, old fashioned spices. Like you get this like if you ever just put a splash of bitters in your finger and lick it, which bitters are 90 proof per dash. But that spicy nutmeg, clove, cinnamon, black pepper, the citrus, malted milk ball, cowtail, whatever. Like I think those big 4 notes I had on the nose transferred to the palate, but they transform a little more. Super oily, super rich, super thick. Definitely pot distilled, but you can tell it is like their distiller cares about the quality of the baseline whiskey coming off that still, because it's not like some shit's just, it's pot distilled. It is what it is. Right. Pot distillate, you got to know your heads, tails, and all that, and heads, hearts, and tails, and all your cuts. But this seems like they've put a lot of care into this, and I would say this drinks like a 12, 15-year-old rye, like a malted rye. You get a little bit of those Scotchy notes you were talking about, like that, just from the malt. But I think it drinks older than 7, 8 years. But yeah, I think it's fantastic. I think it's really good.
Yeah, that mintiness hit me. That rye spice and that mintiness you talked about, Matt. That was like the first 2 things that popped out to me, and that malty, flavor. And I cannot define in my mind what that tastes like to me. Like I can't find the descriptor, but it's like when I taste it, I know what it is, and that's why I say Scotch, because it's like that, just malted barley. That's what it stands out. But you said the chocolatey, that chocolate comes back as well for me as well. So that kind of comes through. I just
can't drink coffee. You're a coffee guy. You're an espresso guy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So like, I also get like the espresso-y notes too. Yes. Like when I think of like heavy malt, roasted malt stuff, or beer, which I don't know. Are you a stout guy? Are you
used to be, not anymore. Yeah, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah. So Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, but I like it, Matt. Very good choice on this one, man. Even though it does remind me of a Scotch.
No, it has like a certain kind of malty, scotchy note to it.
Which is funny because it's rye. I mean,
Yeah.
right? But it's malted rye. But that malting, I guess there's something about malted grain that just...
And new charred oak, too. I mean, that has to, the fact that it is new charred oak instead of, a used barrel.
It's not a second use barrel like a bourbon or a sherry cask or something like that, which Scotch is. All right, guys. So final thoughts on this one, since we're at the end of round 2 here. Matt?
I like it. I like it a lot.
Chad?
If you had one of these, I'd buy from you.
Thanks. Matt just happens to have the second bottle in his bag he brought for you, Chad, so you can just swab it out
I know where to find one.
for the Woodford. Yeah. So, no, I agree. I like it. I mean, I really do. This is really good, Matt. So thanks for bringing that very much.
Absolutely, gents.
Appreciate that. So, all right, guys, we're at the end of round 2. Let's take a quick break, get a word from our sponsors. We'll be back with more with 3/5 of the Bourbon Life crew in just a minute. James E. Pepper Barrel Proof Decanter Bourbon, distilled at the historic Pepper Distillery, DSP KY5 in Lexington, Kentucky. This new release, bottled in a striking recreated distillery decanter from the 1940s, has garnered high praise and accolades. Coming in at number 27 on Fred Minnick's Top 100 Whiskies of 2023, it received a 94-point rating and was called absolutely delicious with notes of delicate hazelnut and toffee. Astor Wines, one of New York's most prestigious retailers, writes, "The whiskeys coming of age now are some of the finest from any American whiskey producer. This bourbon is arguably the most impressive you will find at this age. Available nationwide with a suggested retail price of $65. Learn more at jamesepepper.com.
The Stave Restaurant is a bourbon lover's paradise right here in the heart of bourbon country. Located at 5711 McCracken Pike in Millville, Kentucky, between Castle and Key and Woodford Reserve, Chef Kyle Klatka prepares amazing food each day that features an elevated Kentucky-inspired cuisine. With a full-service bar, great bourbon flights, and signature cocktails, the Stave is the perfect place to catch up with friends after a fun-filled day of touring the local distilleries. Be sure to check them out online at thestavekentucky.com or at Instagram and Facebook at The Stave Kentucky.
All right, everybody, welcome back for the third and happily final round of the Bourbon Life Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and with me here tonight, live in the Bourbon Life Studios, it's my good friends, Matt.
Hey, what's up, Mark?
What's up, Matt?
Good to be around the table. Good to have, even though we're running a skeleton crew tonight, this morning, this afternoon, this evening, whenever it is you're getting your Bourbon Life Podcast, and we appreciate you getting your Bourbon Life Podcast.
Yep.
Always good to be with you guys.
Yeah. We miss Philip, who, well, we don't have his camera on, but his mic set up. He's got his, step and repeat behind him, man. Sorry, Chad. I should have just moved that over for you. So you could have sat behind, but you can't sit on the left side of the table.
I can't. No, it's just like bad juju.
It is. There's no question. Because the show...
He always sits on the left side of the table.
Huh?
Matt's truth is the only truth he knows.
I guess so. Yeah.
For those just listening, Chad is to my left, Mark's right.
Yes. They probably figured that one out, but that's a good one. Chad, how are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing much better tonight.
My left-hand man, Chad, how you doing?
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Anywho.
I mean, just three of us hanging out, having a few drinks, relaxing. Yeah. It's kind of hard to complain.
Well,
it's really, really hard to complain. I did notice that you put Philip's Namano over there, though, as if he was here.
Well, I did. I thought, if he shows up, he could just clip it on and we could be good to go. Maybe. I don't know if it's picking up his... It actually is. It says it's picking up his mic, so I'm curious to see.
I can hear him from here.
You can hear Philip.
This tastes like Starburst sandwiched together between two pieces of wheat bread on a grassy afternoon. Oh, well, my truck's running exhaust.
Oh.
I was in the back of my shed out there at the steel. He said he just got home, or he just got free. He's heading home.
Yeah.
So poor Philip. So for those of you, I can't remember if we talked about it or not. Philip's been sitting in traffic behind a wreck or something on the highway, and he texted us an hour ago and said over an hour and a half ago.
Hour and a half ago before the show started. Yeah.
Was basically just like, roll without me. And so we did. And poor dude, we told him to come on by. And at this point, by the time he got here, we'd be done.
See, I was hoping he'd be here, man, because I was going to crack, we're going to crack that 18 Heaven Hill.
Next time.
Stacy was not here, and we were just going to.
Hey, you know what? And there is a thing called a separate group chat where we can eliminate Stacy out of it. It's called the Bourbon Life Bros.
The Bourbon Life
Or
Bros.
the boys, BOIS, the boys.
Sorry, Stacy, you're out, man.
Well, she's not a boy.
Yeah, that's well, I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway,
What are we drinking?
we are the Bourbon Life Podcast presented by Liquor Barn. Thank you, Liquor Barn, for all your support, and thank you, Liquor Barn, because that's where I picked up this bottle. So get on.
Mark stole it from a guy who went to the bathroom who was sharing a beer with him.
The bathroom, and I was like, I'm still in that bottle, but isn't that beautiful, man? There's no light or anything that comes on, but it's But I was going to open this up with you guys, but you guys are like, no.
Matt's. Well, I felt bad about.
I get it. No, I get it. It's okay, man.
Oh, we're a crew. We're a team.
We can open it,
whatever.
But I felt bad that I felt like it'd be a wasted experience on me because I'm the guest tonight. Let's be real. I'm the guest tonight. Matt's always here.
Yeah, nobody cares about me.
Wow, whatever, dude. This show wouldn't work without you. So
even my parents are like, I don't know, Matt. Maybe Mark needs to.
Wow, wow, Mama and Papa Hughes, please don't say that to your son.
All right, Chad, what do we got poured up?
What we've got is this Lucky 7 14-year-old. It is coming in at 131.7 proof. That is 65.85 ABV. This was picked by Matt, Whiskey Consensus, who is my sister's neighbor.
What? Is he really?
Yeah, they live like 4 houses apart.
I did not know.
Yeah, up in Dayton.
How funny.
And apparently, I hate that meme. I hate that video, but that always gets me. He and I did meet last year at KBF on night 1, which is, as you remember, was not my best night. Because I texted him in like December and was like, hey, man, I wish I could have seen you at KBF. And he's like, we did. He's like, we walked to your car together. And I'm like, oh, God.
Matt walking out. I mean, Anita and I were already in the car. We could see him. And they like stopped on the corner because Matt he's a marathon runner.
Yeah, you both are tall, skinny.
Yeah, he's an ultra runner. So I was like, shit, these guys are going to get together and this conversation is never, ever, ever going to stop. And no shit, they stood on a corner talking to each other like for 30 minutes. I mean, we're sitting in the car like, we're ready to roll. And there's Matt and Matt just hanging out. Of course, Matt was not in the best.
Where was I? Because Matt said he walked me all the way to my car.
What?
Maybe he was just walking everybody to their car.
Could have been, man. So
because I was like, I don't remember that because I went to Willett after that.
That's funny, man. So anyway, he's a good dude. I like him, and we always joke because he always posts. He loves to post shit about Jack Daniels. So post the Jack Daniels.
He's going to Jack Daniels this week or next week.
He knows. He knows. I mean, he doesn't do it just because of me, but he knows that I'm not a JD fan. So he waits eagerly for my critical response to his JD post. But anyway. Let's talk about the whiskey, Chad. You brought this one. Well, you get yourself a healthy pour there, man.
I did. Well, I feel bad pouring a healthy pour of anyone else's whiskey, but I'll do it on my own. I see we're going to ask me what I get on the nose.
Of course. Well, yeah. That's kind of the way this show works there.
Well,
then obviously,
so usually you throw it to Matt.
Well, I threw it to you first.
You did. So for me, I get like a nice dusty brown sugar. I get some grape Kool-Aid, sweet, sugary. Good bit of oak in there, tobacco, leather, a little bit of cherry cola spice. So you get like clove, cherry syrup, I can never remember. It's sarsaparilla. Sassafras is root beer, right?
Yes.
Sarsaparilla is cola.
Yeah.
Yes. So get like that sarsaparilla, like that nice cola, a little bit of maple. Definitely a 14-year-old Kentucky bourbon. Really good nose. Love it. I think this drink's like a high proof dusty. I've got this bottle.
No, you can't talk about the palate and the finish yet, Chad.
Well, I think it noses. I've not had a sip of it yet today. I think it noses
today.
Well,
in the last 30 minutes.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Is I got this bottle 2 years ago, and I've had more of it this week than I did when I got it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, for a 2-year-old, you've kind of nursed it a little bit.
Well, I did get 2, so this is my second one.
Now the truth comes out. Matt, what about you, man? What do you pick up?
I don't believe this to be over oaked, which is nice. Sometimes 14-year cast strength, you run that risk of starting to taste a little bit like a cedar chest or just like be overly foresty on the nose. I think this doesn't do that. I think the vanillas are really strong. I get a lot of vanilla taffy, vanilla notes, kind of Almost like, Mark, you sometimes talk about like that cornstarch note that you would pick
From
up
the
like on
bubble
the
gum.
outside of the bubble gum, like kind of like that cornstarch. But then, of course, like nice aged high proof product comes through with good cherry, good bold, that dusty brown sugar note Chad was talking about, like little molasses and spice in it as well. It just nice nose, like really rich, really lush.
Yeah, I get all that. I mean that was, but you know what? Actually, I get a hint of coconut on this.
So some lactone.
Yes, so I'm getting a little lactone on this, just a hint, because I can not add anything because everything you guys said, I was like, yes, 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 yes.
I can see the coconut. So usually your lactone kind of notes is like the melon, some like weird vanillas and that kind of stuff, or people call them like sunscreen notes. It's usually either a distillate problem or a barrel problem. And seeing this is 14 years old and, being aged in Bardstown, probably had some funkiness happen to that barrel. So I see that.
Yeah. Is that where it comes from? Is
that where it come from?
It come from Bardstown.
Easy there, Flatwoods. Hey, did you hear that Flatwoods just had a vote to go wet?
Wet?
Yeah.
You know what? I saw on Facebook a high school classmate had encouraged everyone strongly.
Wow, a bunch of high school seniors are now able to buy alcohol
to get out and vote. We could buy it over in Ironton, Ohio when we were 16. But anyway.
Hey, I went to school in Portsmouth.
Oh, that's right, dude.
Yeah.
Crazy. Anyway, Matt, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
so
that's big news, right?
It is, yeah. Flatwoods is now wet. The home of Achy Breaky, Billy Ray Cyrus.
Yeah.
You can now buy booze, which is kind of weird because Flatwoods is a really sleepy, small town.
But you could buy there. You couldn't buy in Ohio. Fucking cherry bombs and M80s.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you couldn't get live explosives like that in Ohio, but in Kentucky, cherry bombs is considered a live explosive, or quarter sticks of dynamite.
Yeah.
So, in Kentucky, you get them. So in college, we'd fucking go across the bridge and get some.
There you go.
Yeah.
Get your stuff. Man, this is really nice.
So we were wondering about topics to talk about, and
we suck.
Chad asked Meta, and one came up that I gotta throw out, probably a contrary opinion here, a little controversial.
Ooh.
And this is just for me, just me personally.
Controversy.
This is a bourbon and food pairing.
Oh.
I think that bourbon and barbecue do not belong together.
I agree. I stand behind Matthew. I believe in everything this man is saying.
I don't think they go.
Why?
I don't.
Barbecue is so rich, so fatty, so mouth coating, so thick. Like when I'm eating barbecue, the last thing I want is like some thick, hot, alcohol forward like drink.
Okay.
Just like blowing up my palate, which is already like taken over by smoke, by wood, by the sweetness of barbecue sauce, by the fat of meat, by any other flavoring, seasoning, salt. It's like complete overload. Like if I'm eating barbecue, what I want is like
a beer. A beer or
beer, like
a white wine.
Gin and tonic.
White wine.
Gin tonic, yeah.
What's
something to cut through?
Yeah, I want something acidic, but not saying like I don't want anything with tannins when I'm eating. I'm not a big fan of like barbecue and ribs and stuff, but if I'm eating it, I don't want bourbon. I 100% agree with Matt with this. I want something that's going to cut through the fat, and I don't even drink bourbon with food at home. I do not like bourbon with food in general, unless like a dessert, for the exact same reason. I would prefer to have a beer, something that's going to add a little bit of like, cut
like
through
effervescence.
Yes,
those like the carbonation.
Right, which is why like a white wine. So something like a Sauv Blanc or
like
something.
A whiskey ginger, maybe even.
Yeah, a whiskey
or like
ginger.
a mule.
Yeah, but yeah.
So you're just saying bourbon neat. Like you're not going to sip on bourbon neat and eat barbecue at the same time.
No, God, no.
Okay.
But there are whole festivals dedicated.
Yeah, there's literally a bourbon and barbecue festival.
Yeah.
I think
eating ribs and drinking
is it
straight
in Nashville?
Yeah.
Is there a bourbon? Is it barbecue?
There is like a barbecue and bourbon, or like there's a bacon and bourbon festival, right? That you've been to, Mark.
Well, yeah.
Again.
But it's delicious. Matt, you eat prosciutto. You loved the hillbilly prosciutto.
There is such a difference between prosciutto.
It's salty fat, high fat content, salty smoked meat.
How much prosciutto are you eating when you do you eat a slab of like a whole like
If I will
half a
when
hog
that was ready.
prosciutto.
When that was ready, yes, I will. Yes, when it's ready, I'm gonna.
I'm standing by. I'm like foot down here. To me, barbecue, straight bourbon,
I'm not gonna do it, huh?
wouldn't be prudent. Not gonna do it.
Can't do it. Mark, it sounds like you are a fan of bourbon and barbecue.
Well, it's not something that I go and do, but I mean, talking about I did the bacon and the bourbon and bacon festival. You know, I mean, I love it. These bourbon inspired bacon dishes that they prepare. It's great. I mean, I love to have a small sip of bourbon with them. There's just the richness of the food and especially higher proof, just like with the prosciutto. I just love the flavor of the bourbon that combines with that, you know. And I don't know, man. I just can't stand by this. We're going to have to stop the whole show right now. Just stop it.
So it's like one of my biggest, like you go to all these gift shops in Kentucky or any gift shop, any fucking distillery gift shop, and it's always brand XYZ barbecue sauce. And I'm like, who wants this? Who's buying this? People who don't know better. People who don't have a taste are buying these because I don't like.
Says the man who doesn't like Worcestershire sauce either. So
I don't, but I don't want to put bourbon with it either. Why would I do that? Do you put bourbon on your manwich?
We're going.
No, you don't.
We're going to bourbon. Are you kidding me, man? How many people make bourbon infused sauce, barbecue sauce?
At this point, I feel like every barbecue sauce is required to have bourbon in it. It's almost become like a gimmick now.
But that's such a wonderful flavor. It's so good.
I see both sides of this one, so I'm gonna like Switzerland my way out of this.
You started this shit, man.
Yeah,
Let you two hash the barbecue, the barbecue sauce, because I think bourbon in a barbecue sauce is great. I think everybody doing bourbon in a barbecue sauce, like, whatever, everybody's doing it.
Right. Sorry, everybody finishing like an Amberana barbecue sauce.
Like, is Buffalo Trace actually putting Buffalo Trace in their Buffalo Trace barbecue sauce? Is it really just like whatever we had left over?
I feel like if any barbecue sauce, probably mostly just has white dog in it.
Yeah.
I mean, like Evan Williams barbecue sauce
with like smoke and
flavoring
flavor
things added
tomato.
to it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Interesting, man. You guys just exposed the whole myth of barbecue bourbon sauce.
So here's another one. if you're doing like a single barrel or a tasting or something like that, and sometimes there are snacks provided.
Yeah.
I don't believe that there should be a salty snack.
I think something like a cracker is good, but that's about as far as I'll go.
For a snack, for a barrel pick, man, somebody's coming to
But
spend
if you want to cleanse your palate,
$10,000 or $12,000, man. They need a spread.
I understand. I understand the spread.
I don't provide spreads for
We loved
anybody.
it. We loved when we did
Wilderness Trail with Macaulay.
I ate the hell out of that shit.
Oh my God, that was awesome.
Having done a few more now and seeing how more are done and tried some of the different things, I think that a very salty snack is not the best way to present bourbon.
I think as more people start eating it, it really affects their palate, dries it out a little more, and then they think everything's a little more tannic.
Yeah, I think
Really?
salt makes your palate ultra sensitive.
That's why I can't drink bourbon with food. I feel like it ruins my experience with bourbon.
Wow. So Matt, what snacks would you provide that aren't salt? What is there then if it's not salty? There's no meats.
Donuts.
Doritos. Yeah.
Hey,
Let's
that was an
let's get
after the
Chase
fact.
Hazelbeck. Yeah.
That was
Chase.
not a barrel pick. That was an after the fact.
Let's go back to Nulu.
Can we talk about how the hell did we both get home that day?
Let's get some
We
Nulu.
drove separate
Man.
somehow.
Anyhow, let's get back on topic. Matt, you're asking a question about, so what snacks do you provide then if there's not salty snacks?
Well, see, that's the problem because you have to provide snacks, and so like finger foods that aren't salty or crackery.
Chicken salad?
I'm fine with crack. Well, it's for you. But I think one of the best palate cleansers of all times, and I think we learned this from Ashley Barnes, are snap peas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think snap peas, though they might not be the most fun thing to eat in the world, especially when one is drinking. That's like the last thing you want to do is eat your fruits and vegetables.
Yep.
But I think as far as cleansing one's palate, I can't think of too many better things than
Dried cranberries and granola.
What? To cleanse your palate? A cranberry?
Yeah, I love them. Well, the granola is more to cleanse your palate, but the cranberries kind of like feed that snack.
To get it stuck in your teeth and come back when you're drinking that bourbon later and you're like, this is sweet. Tastes like cranberry.
No. I mean, I do have messed up teeth, but I don't think I've ever had a dried cranberry stuck in my teeth, Mark.
Well, I'm just saying, when you eat, anyway, guys, let's talk about the palate.
What do you like, Mark? You do bourbon tastings.
Yeah, what do you like?
You lead and you curate bourbon tastings. Do you ever?
I don't feed those I don't feed them.
As he's like, you have to feed your people.
They just drink. You know what? I'm talking about barrel picks, man. Somebody's coming in to spend $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 on a barrel. You damn well better have some snacks set out for.
All right. So how about this? Somebody asks you to lead a $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 tasting, and they say, "Oh, and we'd like to have some.
We
snacks.
would like you to curate the snack board for this."
I'm gonna have.
What are you gonna have?
I'm gonna have Colonel Newsom's country ham. I'm gonna have Doritos. I'm gonna have some hillbilly prosciutto on there for sure, man. I mean, there's no question about it. I'm gonna have a full snack board, man. I'm gonna have everything out there.
You're gonna break out the snaggle box.
Everything, man. I'm gonna have olives. I'm gonna have pickles. I'm gonna have cheese. I'm gonna have crackers.
Cheese is a good one. I think cheese has a good place. Woodford's the only place I've ever seen that really puts cheese, like when you're doing a pick or something, or just like a tasting.
Yeah.
I think even if it's just like a mild cheddar is a good option because it's, the fat from the cheese will kind of coat your palate a little bit, but doesn't have to be salty. As well, I mean, it could be, but I think cheese is a good one.
See, I don't do dairy, unfortunately.
Well, I'm not supposed to.
You're not invited to my tasting.
Oh, that's fine. I was gonna ghost you anyway.
All right, guys. Goodness gracious. Can we talk about this whiskey here? Speaking of Ashley Barnes, right?
Yes, Lucky 7. Matt, what are you picking up on the palate?
Now you got me thinking about other things. It would be good to have.
Well, let's continue.
Matt's not going to answer the question now. He's like, I'm still mad. I want to talk about it.
No. I'm not mad. But the palate on this, for being a couple proof percent of decimals higher than the rye, I think it drinks a little cooler, actually.
I think this drink's hotter than that.
I do too, man.
I thought the rye drank hotter.
I'm agreeing with Chad on this one. This one drinks hotter.
Anyway, it's a good, warm mouthfeel right up front. Not as oily. I think part of that probably is it's not a pot still product. But definitely some of those oils that like fatty feel. I mean, like that malted rye, I felt like my tongue was lacquered afterwards.
Yeah.
But good vanillas, good amount of like dark brown sugar, molasses, really coating the tongue right up there. Almost like, I don't know if you ever had like the Little Debbie's like nutty bars where kind of like chocolate, a little bit of peanut butter and like little crackery as well.
No, I never ate one of those as a kid.
little touch of that. But like good aged notes on the end too, like those tobaccos, the leathers are coming through almost like some cherry pipe tobacco on the finish.
Yes.
Just like really nice, mature product. Good heat. I think the proof really comes through on the finish for me.
Chad, what about you, man?
Yeah, the cherry pipe tobacco is my big thing. Dr. Peppery. And when I say Dr. Pepper, I think Dr. Pepper, and I always tell people like cherry cola, Dr. Pepper, so you're getting like all the notes, like all the flavors. You're getting citrus, tobacco, chocolate, cherry, spice. But the cherry pipe tobacco, I think, is a big one for me. I think that really sings home. But the chocolate, cherry, like that nutmeg, oak. I mean, I don't want to say it's like a typical 14 or like well-aged Kentucky bourbon, or apparently they're calling them AARP pours or AAR pours now or something like that. Anything double digits in old pour.
Great.
So
nice.
Yes, we can use that on Mark.
That's funny.
I think this is like the idea of tell me about a really quintessential what flavor profile for a 14-year-old Kentucky straight bourbon should taste like this. This is that.
And where's this from? Do we know? Or do you know?
I have an assumption that it is a 75-21 mash bill distilled in Bardstown at what used to be called Thomas S. Moore Distillery. That is my assumption. I don't want to go out there saying exactly who it's from because I don't know.
Yeah.
But that is my guess. And for those of you who know what Thomas S. Moore Distillery used to be called, you can have an assumption.
Yeah. This is delicious, man. I'm super impressed with it.
Yeah, I can't believe so. Like, I killed the first bottle in about 2 months, and then I opened this one soon after, and it's been sitting this whole time. I'm surprised it still drinks as hot as it does, being open for 2 years. Yeah,
it's very warm, but and again, it drinks hotter to me than the old Potrero. But man, just all those right notes. I mean, this is just like that 12 to 15 year range for me is just like the sweet spot for some reason. I just love those flavors that come out, and this one hits all of them, man. So
something about barrels aged in Bardstown that hit that age range. Because Bardstown's, it's up on a hill, it's a little higher elevation.
Yeah.
So you get the temperature swings there a little more like wild. So I think that's kind of why it hits our sweet spots and what you and I like when it comes to these.
Well, yeah. Well done, Matt, with the whiskey consensus.
Yes,
I shoot him a message. And Ashley Barnes, which I can't say enough about her, man.
Mm-hmm.
Just absolutely love her.
I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about it or not, but I got to see their what will be their new facility, the blending house.
The blending house.
Oh, man. Holy wow.
Well, she actually texted me today and then invited us to come out to check it out. And to bring the RV.
when are you going out there?
I don't know.
I want to show you our barrels.
We haven't planned it yet, but
when you do, let me know.
Yeah, she invited us out, so I do definitely want to go out there because I've never met her partner,
Monica Wolf. Yeah,
yeah. I've never met Monica before, man. So
I've never met. I met Ashley at the Curly booth at KBF, and I was like,
yeah.
Way.
Yeah, one too many slushies.
Well, it was like 5 p.m. and she's helping pack up, and I'm like, man, Shad sent him, But
well, she's a sweetheart, man, and she's awesome at what she does. There's no doubt about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, well done. Damn, very nice, Big. Thanks for bringing that, Chad.
No problem. How as much you want?
I'll probably have another pour of that, as a matter of fact, off camera once we're done, because we are at the end of the episode. So, guys, final thoughts on this one, Matt.
I think it's great, and at the price point too. You said what, 120, 129?
Yeah. So when I got this 2 years ago, this was $120. I mean, the shipping, which 2 bottles shipping was $25. So yes, that sounds like a lot of money to put into it all at once, but I cannot think of anywhere or any place or any brand you can get a 14-year-old bourbon from right now.
Nope.
At this proof point of this quality for $120. Now I get it 2 years ago, but yeah, I paid $120 for this bottle, and I stand by it.
And I'd do it again. Yeah,
I'd buy 10.
Yeah, I agree. This is delicious, man. Thanks for bringing it. So, guys, final thoughts before we wrap it up. Matt, throw it back to you one more time.
Hey, it's been a great time. We're running the Skeleton Crew, but we're having a good time nonetheless. Thank you, all of our listeners, for joining us, sticking with us morning, noon, night, whenever it is that Bourbon Life Podcast is coming. Thank you to all of our sponsors out there, not just our presenting sponsors, but everybody that makes the show possible. We're having a good time. Mark, Chad, thanks you, gents.
Yeah, man. Chad, what about you?
No, thank you, Matthew. Pleasure to see you. It's been a minute.
It has. A minute or 45.
3 hours,
Yeah.
2 hours, 2.5 hours.
For everyone else, my back is killing me from having to carry this podcast without Stacy and Philip here. So I'll be sending you my insurance bill. I don't have health insurance. I'll be sending you my insurance bill or my hospital bill, Mark. Actually, no, I'll send it to Stacy. She can have it.
Yeah, she works at the hospital.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, she does something in healthcare, and she's in Florida right now. So yeah,
She sucks.
she does suck. My phone literally would not let me type her name with an E in it.
That was so
I
funny,
had to
dude.
go. I had
That
to
was
go
crazy.
in and make it to where when I type Stacy, like the normal way, it adds an E, or
That's crazy. It wouldn't let
like
you
it just would not let me do it because she correct twice, but
Yeah.
I didn't even notice it. So
check how I have her in my phone.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. There's an E in there.
yeah, no, I knew that, but
I know.
I didn't.
Yeah,
even,
but your phone obviously.
I've never noticed that every time I type her name, it takes the E out. So I had to go in and make that setting in my
Dude,
spell check.
that's great. All right, well, guys, thanks for hanging out tonight. Appreciate you guys coming over on short notice, even, right? So,
Yeah, I literally asked about this time last night.
an unexpected crew episode.
Yeah.
So how fun to get to do that and hang out. But it's always a pleasure to get to hang out with you guys and talk bourbon and talk industry stuff. You guys are much more in tune with it than I am. So it's always fun to listen to you guys go back and forth and share your thoughts on things. And I just kind of sit here and drink and listen. So
That's what I do.
yeah, but I appreciate that. So it's always fun hanging out with you guys. And I hate that Philip couldn't make it and Stacy as well, but hopefully they'll be back soon and we can have another good cruise show.
I think one of our next cruise shows is, I think we need to do the 15 blind challenge again. Didn't we say we're going to do that twice a year?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, did we really? Okay.
Yes, yeah.
I think we're getting close to due for the.
So the next cruise episode, I'll be getting back from a cruise.
Oh,
After I'm going on an 8-day cruise.
You're Jamaican rum palate is going to be
There you go.
No, my mom bought me the drink pass, so just whatever
you want.
whatever drinks are available is what my palate will begin to do for. So it's $50 a day, or like $80 a day for that pass.
Oh, I'd burn that up and there's no doubt.
Oh, I'm getting her money's worth.
I'd get
no
money's
doubt
worth.
about it.
There's no doubt about it. Yeah, I would get my money's worth. They would be like, nope, sorry. It'd be like going to the all-you-can-eat buffet and staying for 6 hours. They'd be like, nope, sir, you've got to leave.
Yeah, Brittany's already told me I'm cut off after 5. And I'm like,
after 5 o'clock? 5.
that's. I was like,
hours.
are we talking like 5 larges, 5 extra larges? What if they like do like
5 liters,
5
gallons.
There's 5's a big number.
Yeah, exactly right. There's a lot of wiggle room in there, right?
There is.
Mm-hmm. Well, guys, thanks for hanging out tonight. Really appreciate it. Thank you to all of our listeners. We appreciate you guys hanging out. Like Matt always says, whatever time of day it is, morning, noon, or night, whenever it is, you get your Bourbon Life fix. We appreciate you spending the time with us. We appreciate all of our sponsors, of course. Liquor Barn, our presenting sponsor. Couldn't do the show without them, and all of our other wonderful sponsors. So thank you guys. If you guys want to reach out to us, you can email us at thebourbonlife@gmail.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at The Bourbon Life, and we also have our private Facebook group, The Bourbon Lifers. Feel free to jump in there. We'd love to have you join us if you'd like. Also, if you feel so inclined, please leave us a review on your favorite podcasting platform. Also, I have to mention the whiskey trip with Big Tex, as Matt likes to call him, Big Chief.
Big Chief.
Yeah, Big Chief Mike doing the whiskey trip every week on Tuesday. That show comes out under our umbrella, but he's doing some really cool. He was at George Washington's distillery
that's good.
this week, which is really cool, right? So he's doing some fun stuff, and he's on the road quite a bit. Of course, got the RV, man, ready to hit it. But check him out and leave us all a review. We'd really appreciate that. With that said, I'm going to wrap it up. Send us on with our tagline, which is, may your glasses always be full, and may you keep on living the bourbon life. Cue the violin.
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of the Bourbon Life Podcast. Our mission at the Bourbon Life is simple: to share our passion for all things bourbon with you every week. And we'd really love to hear your thoughts on how we're doing. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at The Bourbon Life. You can also contact us by email at thebourbonlife@gmail.com. And you can always find us on your favorite podcast platform. If you have a moment, we'd love it if you would rate us and give us a review. So until next week, we hope your glass is always full and that you keep on living the Bourbon Life.
Welcome to the kitchen table at James B. Beam Distilling Company, where every visit is a celebration of tradition and flavor. Did you know that the kitchen table is nestled right within the heart of the distillery? That's right. You can experience the essence of James B. Beam's legacy while savoring their delectable dishes. Join them every Wednesday through Sunday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. for a culinary journey like no other. Planning a special event? Let the kitchen table be your host, creating unforgettable memories for you and your guests. And don't miss their exclusive Behind the Beam tour and monthly Claremont Supper Club events, which will feature their 2024 Bardstown Bourbon Collection James B. Beam Distilling Company release on June 13th. For more information and reservations, visit beamdistilling.com. The kitchen table at James B. Beam Distilling Company. Come as a friend, leave as family.